Hello everyone and welcome to On The Rise with the latest CanMNT news from today. As of course today didn't see so many Canadians take to the pitch, of course outside of Ismael Kone, our star Canadian midfielder, whose unfortunately side Watford bowed out in penalties to Stevenage in the Carabao Cup. But we will get to that in just a second. But there was massive announcement off the pitch in Canadian soccer, as a weird and random announcement came out last night at 1 a.m. Eastern Time that Canada Soccer announced Canada is set to face Japan, the number 20 ranked side in the world, in Nagata, Japan, on October 13th in a friendly. That's a massive announcement. It was a crazy announcement that nobody really expected to be happening. Of course, a lot of people weren't even sure if we would get a single friendly in 2 international windows. Of course, we're not going to have a friendly in the September window unless something changes drastically with the Canadian Soccer Federation finances, which of course more than likely isn't going to happen. But hopefully we can somehow get another friendly around, maybe against South Korea or something like that, as they're close countries. You never know. It all depends on what South Korea is doing with their friendlies at that current moment in time. But it's very unfortunate to only have one friendly, but to get it against a team like Japan, we're not playing a Bahrain, we're not playing a lower ranked side in CONCACAF, we're not playing a small nation. This is one of the world's best footballing nations, and we saw what Japan has to offer at the World Cup. There's some phenomenal footballers, Minamino, Takefusa Kubo. They have some brilliant players. And of course, going against Japan, we've already played them once in a friendly where we did manage to beat them just before the World Cup in preparations for, of course, the World Cup. And it was a great match where Canada played very well. And now getting to play them once again in Japan, in Nagata on October 13th is massive. And it's a huge statement. Not only that we're in financial constraints, we're only getting one friendly, but it's not the fact that we're getting small nations anymore to play in friendlies. It's the fact that we're getting bigger nations in friendlies like Japan, and we're trying to pull these bigger nations. It's huge. It's a real statement. I get that we're not getting enough friendlies, and that is a huge point. And of course, that's due to Canada's finances. And we're going to look at what Rick Westhead had to say on Twitter in just a second here. I'm going to read out the tweet. But to still have that one friendly, I know we might only have one. I don't want to dwell on the negatives too much here. I want to look at the positives, and the fact that the one friendly we did manage to pull was against Japan, arguably one of the most exciting sides in world football in the international stage, is very exciting. And I'm really excited to see what we can do against Japan on October 13th in Nagata, Japan, because it's going to be a very exciting match. We're going to have our best squad. We have no injuries at this current time to our key players, and it'll be very interesting to see what we can do, especially with our best center back ready in Derek Cornelius, who's healthy and back on the pitch, and we'll be able to see a full Canadian back line and side, because this is going to be a huge test for Canada, going against one of the best teams in world football. I know we can say we faced USA in this past summer twice, once with our best team against their best team, and once with a B side against maybe a B kind of rotational side as well. So I guess you can talk about how we have faced USA, a very good footballing nation as well, and a top side as well. But playing a side like Japan is just a statement worldwide. Everyone will be watching. Everyone will notice Canada against Japan. It's a huge matchup. It's a big side within world football. We all saw what Japan managed at the World Cup. It was phenomenal. It was exciting. And it was a great side. And what Japan will throw at Canada at that match will be extremely fun to watch for Canadian fans. And of course, to see what we can do against a bigger nation. But the one thing that's a huge hurt here is you're looking at the likes of our huge competition and our rivalry and sides that have really gotten it figured out. The likes of USA, Mexico, and Jamaica even. Jamaica has a very exciting squad now, and a side that I've said for a long time that if they can get their stuff figured out, they can get their coaching, their players all healthy and all coming to their matches, they'll have a very exciting squad that I think can challenge Mexico, Canada, USA even on their day. And USA and Mexico and Jamaica have all scheduled 4 friendlies apiece in the September and October windows. So that's 2 friendlies in each window. And the fact that Canada is only getting 1 in October so far is a huge hurt. And that's going to put us behind the 8 ball, behind the likes of Jamaica, behind the likes of Mexico and USA. I get that we have such a brilliant squad and such a fantastic players. We're playing at elite levels and top 5 leagues and some of the best clubs in world football. But when you're not playing together consistently on the national side with your manager putting in a new system, formation, you're gelling, it's a different story. We've seen it with some of our youth teams. We have some brilliant youth players. They go and play for some of the best academies, some of the great teams out there. But when you don't get to play consistently, whether that's in training, whether that's in friendly matches, and preparing for those big tournaments, you're going to hurt. The lack of chemistry on the pitch, the lack of knowledge on where your playing teammates are going to be on the pitch at that certain moment in time, how your manager wants you to set up defensively in the midfield, how you want to set up, it's going to hurt the side. The lack of matches, we saw it with the women at the World Cup, the lack of matches for preparation is going to massively hurt Canada. And the fact that US, Mexico, Jamaica are taking on 4 matches in the likes of those 2 windows apiece is going to put Canada massively behind that 8 ball, guys. And it's something we really have to start to look out for, and we really have to start to get some more matches under this side's belt and gelling together, especially with the CONMEBOL Libertadores coming up next year. The CONMEBOL tournament, or the Copa America, that tournament is going to be very exciting with the likes of Canada, Mexico, USA, Jamaica, all getting involved against some of the biggest teams in world international stage, Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, Uruguay. Some massive nations in South America that Canada will be facing off against when we make it in that tournament. It's going to be very exciting, and we got to get as many matches as we can heading into that tournament to be able to show what we truly have and how good we really are on the world stage, because that is one of the most exciting tournaments. Playing in that tournament, it's a huge tournament, it's a great stage to show what we got and to play against some of the biggest nations in the world. But looking at what Rick Westhead had to say this morning at 6:43 a.m., Rick Westhead said this, quote, "The Canadian men's national soccer team will play a friendly on October 13th in Nagata, Japan against 20th ranked Japan. However, the men's national team will not play any games during the September international window." Canada Soccer Interim General Secretary Jason DeVos cites financial constraints. CONCACAF rivals US, Mexico, and Jamaica have scheduled 4 games apiece during the September-October windows. And that's what Rick Westhead had to say this morning, breaking it all down around the Canadian men's national team. And these financial constraints are going to only continue to hurt this national side and suffer this side, as we truly have a golden generation right now. I know that word can be used so much and overused, like Fonzie, JD, Istakio, Kone. He's a new generation coming up. These are young, exciting, talented players we've never seen in our history. I know you can compare him to some other players, but Fonzie's the best left back in the world right now. Jonathan David is top 10 strikers in the world right now. Kone is a rising midfielder. Istakio is arguably the best 6 in the CONCACAF. Whether you want to argue Edson Alvarez or Tyler Adams, Stephen Istakio is still the best number 6 in my opinion all around. But we have some brilliant players. And the fact that we can't get consistent friendlies is going to always hurt us. And it hurts to see this golden generation lose games, lose at least 3 matches here that they could have 4 friendlies. But I don't want to continue to look at all of that friendly news. There is some exciting news today. Of course, there was Ismael Kone, who did take to the pitch, guys. He did put away his penalty. He got some minutes on the pitch. He came on as a substitute later on in the match. He did finish the game with a 5.9 rating, but ratings always don't break and tell you the whole story. Like I say, guys, stats are one thing. Sometimes you can look at them, sometimes you can dwell on them, but other times you can look at them and they don't tell the whole story. He still had a decent match, still had a decent performance, nothing to harm on about, nothing to slander about. Ismael Kone still had a decent performance, but he came on, he got trusted to take a penalty, and he slotted his penalty away. Seems like all Canadians these days are brilliant in penalty shootouts, and it is getting very exciting. You see Kamal Miller blast one home for Inter Miami to send them to the next round, where they're of course going to face the next round with Lionel Messi, and that is going to be exciting for Kamal Miller as well. But Ismael Kone slotted his penalty away as Watford fell 4-3 on penalties to Stevenage of all sides in the Carabao Cup. It's very unfortunate for Ismael Kone, And some people might look at this and say, it's just another trophy, it's just another cup. The League Cup means not much for likes of Watford or stuff like that. But for me as a Canadian fan, as a CanMNT fan, this really hurts. Because this is another competition alongside the championship, where the championship is already riddled with so many matches, so many games, that is going to strengthen and really use up the entire squad. But when you add in another tournament like the League Cup, like the Carabao Cup, it's going to continue to use more and more players in the squad. And with Ismael Kone already finding himself on the bench, more competition, more games, more consistent chances for him to find himself earning a starting role is going to be massive for Kone. And the fact that he's lost out of the League Cup already and he doesn't get that opportunity to go into the League Cup, play with the second team or the first team, or to get that chance to prove himself in a game that isn't the league where he gets a chance to show himself, is going to hurt him. And it's very unfortunate, but I think, of course, Ismael Kone will slowly work himself back into that starting 11 very soon. No need to worry about Kone. I love what he's going to do at Watford. But the last thing I want to talk about here, like I said, guys, it was a bit of a slower day. We also have the likes of Nashville playing later on tonight in the League Cup, which I won't be able to talk about because I do have myself a game tonight, and I want to try and get this recording out for you guys because we did have some exciting news around that friendly. But Waking the Red on Twitter came out with this bit of speculation and a bit of what they think could possibly happen. I really want to talk about this and look at this a little bit. Leo reportedly haven't taken a single European bid for CanMNT Jonathan David. That's what the Waking the Red said on Twitter. If Harry Kane leaves Tottenham, Spurs would reportedly be in for David. Same with Juventus if Dusan Vlahovic departs. What about PSG if Neymar returns to Barcelona? Or I'll add another VMLS. But it's very interesting how he tweeted this, and I just want to look at this. There's all kind of speculation around Jonathan David and where he might go, how he might join a new side, and where he might fit in. For me, the only place he could join is Tottenham Hotspur. Don't look at PSG. Don't look at Juventus. I don't want him at Juventus. I think that is a place he should not touch. Looking at Juventus, I know it says, he comes out saying, if Vlahovic departs, but really if Vlahovic departs, Romelu Lukaku is joining the club. That's what's happening with that deal. Vlahovic is going to be departing to Chelsea if he really goes anywhere, is the sounds of it from Fabrizio Romano and all the Italian press. And if Vlahovic departs and goes to Chelsea, it looks like Rom and 40 million will go the other way. That is the sounds of that deal. So I don't think if Vlahovic departs, their replacement will be Lukaku, and I don't want David to go there anyways. But Harry Kane leaving Tottenham is the only place for me to see JD, and I don't see Harry Kane leaving Tottenham anyways. I think JD's in a stuck position right now. Victor Osimhen hasn't left Napoli. There's nowhere for JD to fill in there. The likes of Inter Milan have already recovered to bring in Marcus Thuram. You have Tottenham, who are struggling to move on from Harry Kane. They don't want to sell him to a Premier League side, and they're waiting for Bayern to step up their offer, and they're not getting how much they want, which was always going to be the case. Bayern aren't a team that excessively overpays for anyone. Yes, you can look at Matthias de Ligt deal, and there is other options for how Bayern have overpaid at times, but they're not going to get the amount that Tottenham want, and I don't think that's going to happen as well. And I know they say, what if Neymar departs, and what about PSG? You gotta look at what PSG have already done this window. Brought in Gonçalo Ramos. They've brought in Ousmane Dembele. I know that's not confirmed, but he will join them. And then you also have to look at some of their other options. Vitinha, who can play a false nine. Marcos Asensio. They have some exciting options, and playing under Luis Enrique, I don't see JD going there if Neymar departs. I don't see JD being a Neymar replacement. I know JD can play off the wing, but that's not his best role or his preferred role or where we all want to see him. So currently I'm ruling PSG out. Once Gonçalo Ramos signed for PSG, it just makes no sense. Gonçalo Ramos is a very exciting young hungry striker who's going to be one of the best strikers in Europe in the coming years. So I don't see why PSG, after signing him for, I think the fee was 80 million, I don't see why they'd want to go out there, bring in JD to play maybe ahead of them, maybe behind them. It would make no sense for them to play JD ahead of them. So it's a very interesting situation there. I don't see him going to PSG. I don't see him going to Juventus. The only club I personally see him landing at is Tottenham Hotspur. And that is if Harry Kane leaves. And I don't see Harry Kane leaving at all at this moment in time. But guys, it's been a very interesting day within the Canadian world of soccer, especially getting that exciting friendly. Like I said, not having 3 friendlies along with that, just like US, Mexico, and Jamaica are, will massively hurt us. Let me know what you guys think down below about the friendly for Canada against Japan, around Ismael Kone dropping out of the Carabao Cup, and the JD speculation from The Waking Dead that I did break down between the PSG speculation, Juventus, and Tottenham around Harry Kane. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Drop that like, hit that sub button, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.